Hi, my name is James Adam Tucker. For the past 35 years, I've been an actor, director, and editor right here in Hollywood. So today's topic is something that a lot of new filmmakers ignore. Sometimes even older filmmakers who've been around the block a few times, they get lazy. They don't want to do the pre-production work that's necessary. And what we're talking about today are storyboards. Now, when you think of storyboards, you think of very fancy cartoon-style storyboards that you may have seen online or somewhere in person, where a director will hire a storyboard artist to create these storyboards for him. And that can be a costly process. And a lot of times when you work with a storyboard artist, you may not get exactly what you want. And it's expensive to have those shots redrawn to get what you do want. So I have a solution that it's not original with me, but it's a solution that's been around for years. And I've used it many, many times, using stick figures to do your storyboards. Now, you can either do them yourself, you can work with someone else who can do the stick figures, but it's better if you do them yourself. You sit down with your script. Anyone can draw stick figures. It doesn't have to be anything fancy at all. I've put together a little list here so that I won't leave anything out. One thing about stick figure storyboards, it really saves time. You don't have to go to a professional artist. You can sit down with your script, go scene by scene, and just draw out where you want your characters to move through the frame. So it's just that simple. It's just that simple. You can do multiple storyboards for each scene and track your character's movements through the scene. You can plan your close-ups. Actually, what I usually do, I talked about it in a previous video, are shot list. And once I have my shot list complete, then I take that shot list and I convert that into a storyboard. Now, this sounds like a lot of work, and to be truthful, it is a lot of work. But if you want your project to come out looking professional and using the most of your creativity, the planning comes in the pre-production. Excuse me for sweating. It's kind of hot out here today, and my air conditioner is kind of not filling up my little studio here with my lights and everything. But again, I want to focus on stick figures for storyboards. Another point I want to hit, again, it saves money. Oh, this is the most important one. It clearly communicates to your cast and crew what you visualize for this scene. You can get into real detail, and that's what I do too. I get into real detail with my storyboards, how I want the person to enter the room, where I want them to stop. And this comes with not even knowing your location. You can plan your storyboards when you don't have the actual location secured, but you can take that and modify it to fit the location that you do end up securing for your project. So say for instance, you want someone to exit the car, enter the house, maybe head into the kitchen. You may do 3 or 4 panels. Now, when I say panels, think of a cartoon if you read comic books. And again, this is something that you'll want to look up visually online to find out what these storyboards can look like, what these stick figure storyboards can look like, and how simple they can be or how elaborate they can be. You'd maybe have your character get out the car. You may see a close-up of the person turning off the key, and all this can be drawn with stick figure diagrams. You don't have to be a great artist. You don't have to, you just want to convey your message to your cast and crew of what you want to do. And also, the best part about it is that during pre-production, you can take your time. You're not under pressure. You're not rushing against the gun because you have a certain amount of time to leave this location. So you want to take your time, plan out what you want to do, and use these stick figures to draw it. Again, you don't have to be the greatest artist at all. You're just conveying your message. And you can easily collaborate. Nowadays with the internet, you can even use online programs like maybe Canva. They have a stick figure program where you can create the stick figures online. You don't have to even manually draw them. But I would say manually draw them. I still feel that's the best way. I guess I'm kind of old school. But you sit there with a pad and paper, and you can even use index cards if you like. And you can easily share those. You can scan them, take a picture of them with your phone, and maybe send it to your assistant director or someone you're collaborating with about shots. So that's easy to collaborate. It reduces overthinking on the set. When you're there and you're trying to think of, okay, I want to do something creative with this scene. I want to do something interesting. And you're right there on the set. Sometimes you really can't think of it on the spot when you're under pressure. You have time constraints. You may have some issues with the cast and crew, whatever. It's better to think of all this stuff beforehand in your pre-production. Again, I'm going to always say as I do these videos, when you're working on small budget projects, Pre-production is the time to plan all of this stuff out so that you can take your time at your leisure. It costs you nothing. You're not under any pressure. You can work on it for about a half an hour, or maybe take a break, clear your mind. It's a creative process, just like screenwriting. And you don't want to try to rush it. You don't want to rush it just to get through it. You want to take the time you need to think of shots that will make your project stand out and look interesting. It's portable and flexible. Paper, like I said, once you have them drawn, you can scan them in and share them with the cast and crew, or you just print out copies. So it's something that could easily be shared. It's portable. You can, once they're done and you print them out to share with people, you can still make revisions, and you can make revisions obviously while you're doing them. Erase it, start over again, make minor adjustments. Use as many panels as you need to convey the shots you want. And don't feel that you're doing too many because you can skip over some on the set. Just get your ideas down, sketch them out, and you'll be able to share them with the people who need to know. It maintains your creative momentum. When you're on the set, you're not stuck and thinking about what am I going to do next? What's going to be my next move? What's going to be my next shot? Again, the story, the shot list and the storyboards go hand in hand. Stick figure storyboards go hand in hand with your shot list. And some people even do them in the margins of their script. I've seen directors do that. They may make their little sketches, stick figure sketches in the margin of their script to remind them of what they want to do. And that's something that you can do a really abbreviated version. And as you're looking at your script, you're always going to remember that, okay, let me go to my original storyboards and see what I had planned, what I had thought of 3 weeks ago to make this an interesting scene. And finally, in closing, professionals use storyboards all the time. If they have these big budgets, they sit down with an artist. Maybe they know an artist they've worked with, or they know a storyboard artist they want to work with, and they sit down in different sessions. They break it up, depending upon how big the script is. You break it up into sessions, and you sit there and you do it. You just draw out what you want, and you get different revisions. If you have the budget, you can call up the artist and tell them, try this, try that. But most of the people that I'm talking to who are making small budget films, you don't have that luxury. There are actually programs out there for storyboarding programs. And as the years went on, I started working with this storyboard program called FrameForge. You can look that up online. It's really great. But it's expensive and it's time consuming, but it's worth it. But to start out, you don't have to spend any money. You don't have to be a talented artist. You're just going to use stick figures to convey the message of your script to the cast and crew. And again, your stick figures don't even have to be great. You just need to know the direction they're going, where they're walking from. If it's an over-the-shoulder shot, you have a little stick figure here. You can even put the names of the actors on top of the stick figure characters. So give it a try. Try doing one scene and see how it works out for you. Again, I am a firm believer in spending the time in pre-production before you get to the set. And even if those plans change, you're going to be so happy that you have some plans to fall back on. It makes you more relaxed, in control, when everyone's looking at you for the answers. You have the answers. You know what you want to do. And so you'll have that stick figure storyboard to rely on. And as I talked in the previous video, you'll have a shot list. So don't shy away from the work. If you want your stuff to look quality and professional, put the work in. And the work is only cost is your time. I'll see you in the next one.